Well, it turns out I have a little bit of Obi-Wan Kenobi left in me to talk about. But the thing is, I was hoping the hour-long response video I did to that one guy would be the last time I'd want to talk about Star Wars for the rest of my life. But there's been one video that's been circling in my mind, and that has been Red Letter Media's take. Now, I like Red Letter Media. They make really interesting videos, and they're very entertaining to listen to. But there's the occasional weird takes they have on certain medias. Best example I could think of is Joker right now, and of course Obi-Wan. But hey, as you can tell, this video is going to be done a little different. See, I have a little left to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi and Star Wars as a whole, but I really do not want to edit a full hour-long video again. And I'd rather take the lazy route on this. And after watching Rag's video responding to an Obi-Wan video, he gave me a great idea. I'm going to just take the lazy route and copy what he did. I'm already copying enough things from his channel, might as well do this part. So, if you're expecting a highly edited video from this, don't. This is like maybe an hour of recording and then just slapping it into an editing program and calling it a day. I'm still going to edit the audio. I'll do that much effort, unlike Rags. Another thing, I did edit some of their video down. I was going to respond to both of their videos. In fact, I did edit both of their videos because there's a lot of, I don't want to call it fluff, but there's a lot of just them pointing out certain aspects of the world building out, to talking about how tall Darth Vader is, to certain other things about bashing the prequels in the second part of their video. Really bizarre, so I cut all that crap out because that's just kind of fluff. I don't really care about that. And I tried to find a more interesting bit and try to keep the context into them. So hopefully I pulled that off. Now, before we start, I encourage you all to get some type of alcoholic beverage because this is going to be an interesting one. Okay. Let's fucking do this.
But I think the reason why I found it lovely and charming and fun the very first episode was because the bar had been set so low from my traumatic experience with Star Trek Picard. I'll literally enjoy having fecal matter rubbed into my eyeballs. So I enjoyed the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Now, this is an interesting clip that I wanted to show because basically, they're hindering on the entire fact that they've been watching even worse shit than Obi-Wan Kenobi to the point that this show looks better to them. And in certain circumstances, yeah, I guess you could make that argument, but it's still a dog shit show. You shouldn't have to lower your standards because you've been watching garbage for the past couple of weeks. Watch something that's actually really good, like a show that Red Letter Media recommended, and it's now one of my favorite shows, Severance. Show's a fucking masterpiece. Everyone should go watch that show. And go watch something that's actually good. I mean, anyone can watch Obi-Wan Kenobi and notice the giant writing flaws with it. And you guys even notice it to the point that you point them out. So I don't understand where you're getting this idea that, oh, since we watched garbage, this is fine now. What if I just decided to go watch Picard and I come out with the same conclusion as you guys, where, yeah, Kenobi's terrible, and Picard, you know what, it was okay because I was introduced to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett and Miss Marvel and all this crap. It just doesn't make a really good foundation for an argument, is all I'm saying. I understand where they're coming from, but you shouldn't be clouded by stuff like this, is the problem.
I have to watch the new Star Wars product, but I enjoy the show.
Okay.
And you might be right, the bar is very low right now.
It's very low.
Yeah, the bar is low, but you shouldn't just accept it because the bar is super low. You should still look at the things that are coming out and notice that they're still pretty fucking crap. Just because, what's a great example? Terminator Genisys is fucking dog shit, and Terminator Dark Fate's really bad. Doesn't make Genisys any better, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I'm thinking about an analogy like that. Well, because Genisys is clearly worse than Dark Fate. Even though Dark Fate's really bad, don't get me wrong. But if someone comes out to the conclusion, oh, you know what, since Dark Fate was really dog shit, Genisys is okay. It's like, well, not really. It's still really bad. They're both terrible. I don't know why that would be an argument to begin with, if I'm honest with you.
I was curious to watch this just because, like, I like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. He's the best thing about those prequels.
He's the most boring character.
I'm not talking about characters. I'm talking about him as an actor. He's the best thing about those movies.
He is a good actor playing a very boring character.
Right.
I don't know why, but I don't like it when people say a character is boring or a movie is boring. It's just not an actual criticism to the movie, if that makes sense. Like, Lord of the Rings for me, I find that movie completely boring, but it's not a bad movie because of it. I just find it extremely boring. It's a good written movie, though. That's the thing. Am I calling the prequels well-written movies? Not really, but what makes Obi-Wan a boring character is the question I would be asking. Why is Obi-Wan Kenobi boring to you? I guess I could answer this own question by watching the Mr. Plinkett review talking about the prequels. Funny enough, I have seen them, but it's been so long that I just don't remember if he ever brought up why they're boring. I don't like it when people say stuff is boring, just not an actual complaint or an argument. Everyone can find anything boring. I know someone that finds Doom Eternal boring. Can you believe that? Like, what? How do you find Doom Eternal boring? But then he told me it's not a bad game, I just find it boring. And it's like, okay, I could see... Actually, no, I don't see why you find it boring, but that's fine, I suppose. I did ask him one day why he found it boring, because it's interesting to know and dive into someone's brain and find out why they think this way they do. That's why I like Red Letter Media in a lot of ways. Why I like watching movie reviews, if I'm more specific, because I like judging my stances on certain media products and seeing do they really hold up to the standards that I put them at. And see if I could defute some arguments, like, believe it or not, I rewatched Indiana Jones 1 and 2 with two friends, and it's pretty crazy how many flaws you can find with that movie, especially the first one. There's a lot of flaws with the first movie, right? To the point that I'm starting to think of that movie as just, like, really horribly written, but I still really like it. And wow, I'm getting way off topic. Anyways, back to the video. I'm gonna cut this part out.
Right. I gotta say, just talking about the opening in general, though, their slick editing actually made the prequels seem a little bit meaningful and exciting. Yeah.
Did it? I don't know. They had some weird fake action stock music in the background. It was kind of distracting, if I'm honest with you. But hey, if you think that way, Rich, power to you, man. I don't like generic stock music, but if you do, cool.
The little previously, remember this?
Yeah.
They edited the shit out of those boring ass movies.
Oh, sure.
I thought of a different angle on the opening shot.
And so far, I'm
and that
assuming
first
that
shot,
scene will
I'm
pay
sorry
off.
to interrupt.
Oh.
But that first
Sorry about that weird absurd cut. There was like nowhere good place to cut it at, so it was there because he kind of doesn't really talk about his problem yet until now.
shot says this is a cheap TV show. I kept thinking of opening a shot of like an episode of Cheers, where the camera's pulling back and it's like shaky, and Norm's at the bar, and here comes Ted Danson, and everyone claps. Like that's kind of what it felt like, and I was like, this is a cheap TV show. And
Now, this is a weird complaint. Not really a complaint. It seems like he's giving it more as a compliment than a complaint, because a Disney Star Wars show that has a budget of like what, $6 million per episode? Am I wrong on this? Let me do a little bit of research. Give me a moment here. Yep, it looks like 25 million. I was way off. So 25 million per episode, and yet they're saying that it looks like a cheap movie or a cheap TV show. What a very odd complaint is all I'm saying here. Like, so that's a very weird thing to say.
I like when TV shows are cheap.
It's a cheap.
I like when TV shows are cheap. I mean, in a corny certain way, sure. One of my favorite cheap, corny fucking movies is, and it's even a guilty pleasure, honestly, is Charlie's Angels 1 and 2. Those movies are so corny and cheaply made. They're funny as hell to watch. That doesn't make them good, though, right? Like, we can all look at the Charlie's Angels movies and notice that these aren't good. I would be curious if you would be praising The Room in this situation, Mike, because The Room is cheap, corny movies. What you guys watch on Best of the Worst is cheap, corny movies. This is like a AAA product here from Disney with a $25 million budget. It's a little different when that's the situation.
Movie?
Yeah.
It's a relatively expensive TV show.
Because there are parts of the show that are really impressive visually. And
Yeah.
then there's other parts that look so cheap, especially any of the action, which is so awkward.
I'm going to defend this. I think the cheapness serves the action better. Just small, more meaningful action scenes are better than 80,000
Well-
stormtroopers and CGI running around getting blown up and giant.
Well, Rich, you're going on two different ends of the spectrum here, right? Lord of the Rings, I'm going to bring up as an example again, because that movie is just a really good example for a lot of things for me. That movie has a big, over-the-top scale battle, right? And I'm pretty sure Game of Thrones does too. I've never seen Game of Thrones, but I can guarantee you there's over-the-top battles in that. And I know these guys have seen it. So, would you consider those like bad because of that? Or would you consider a Neil Breen film good because it's cheap? It's weird to compliment movies and shows like this, and I can understand why you have that mindset, because sometimes a smaller scale story is usually better. A good example is Severance. Again, it's a very small scale, interesting story that's contained in its own little universe, and it's not like life-threatening shit going on. And that show isn't on a small budget either, so I just find it interesting that you guys are praising this show for looking cheap with a $25 million budget, but yet we do have things that are high properties with good CGI and epic scale battles and stuff. So it's just a little weird is all I'm saying. You guys are going on two different ends of the spectrum and not looking... It's like looking at a pH scale, right? You all know what a pH scale is, I hope. Here, this is what I mean by pH scale. So you guys are on one end where things are absolutely butt-fucking crazy and nothing makes sense and it's just garbage thrown at your screen, like Star Trek Picard or the new Star Wars sequel, the Star Wars sequels, shit like that. Then there's the other spectrum where it's garbage, like fucking cheap movies, Neil Breen, The Room, all the best of the worst shit you guys watch. And then you guys are just missing out all of the other spectrums here. It's pretty strange. So I don't know why that's the level of quality we're judging things of how good they are now, especially from Red Letter Media. And when you watch them actually talk about things that they care about, like Star Trek Picard, you can tell that they know a lot of the things, and we'll go more into that because there's something that they say is just very concerning in this.
Just 3 quick shots and you kill the 5 stormtroopers. That's a fun, quick action scene. You know what? The show is better off for it.
Sure, you're approaching it from like a story perspective, and this is the same with the opening shot for me, where I'm thinking about the execution and how awkward it is.
I agree with Rich. It's a better bridge. Like, we all hated Rogue One because it was like Star Wars porn on crack.
Yeah.
You know? And it was like too much.
I'm gonna be curious what they consider too much. I mean, I guess there's a lot of action happening, a lot of ships flying around and exploding. I don't know. I'd be curious if they have actual writing flaws or it's just there's too much things on the screen type of deal. I don't know, man. This is just a weird spectrum to start grading on how good movies are. It's just by how much crap is on the screen or not.
And then this, like when Obi-Wan's running around the little hallway set. And
Oh no, not the hallway scene. Oh no. No, not the hallway scene. Oh no.
and there's like 4 stormtroopers and they're actual guys in costumes.
That doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, it's great that it's guys in costumes, right? But look at the scene here. Look at this, right? We got fucking just... It gets worse. He's not showing the full clip. I'm tempted to pull up the movie and show you the full clip because there's some weird shit in it. But this whole scene, it just has someone, 5 stormtroopers around him, just shooting the shit out of him, and he's blocking every shot, even though from the last episode we learned that he can't use the Force and he's not good with a lightsaber because he hasn't used it for 15 years for some reason. It's weird for them to be looking at just the props and people wearing real costumes, but that's about it. Not looking at the actual context of what is filling the scene. The only one that seems like it's kind of doing that is Jay, but even Jay is just, he seems like he doesn't want to say anything too negative because that Mike and Rich both enjoy it, so he just kind of doesn't want to sour the mood type of thing. I mean, it's fine if you want to do that, you know, you want to go with the flow of the conversation, I suppose. But sometimes it's good to speak your mind and just be like, I don't know, man, the context of the scene's pretty crap. It's important.
And he's like, and then he's like old and he's out of time. He's like out of practice, right?
That works for what they're doing with his character.
Yeah.
Does it though? You say he's out of practice and he doesn't know what he's doing, yet he's able to block like a bunch of stormtroopers. Doesn't fit his character at all, Rich. What are you talking about?
It bridged it better, and it made it more feel more like that era than Rogue One. Rogue One's like
late 70s Star Wars where stormtroopers smacking his head on the top.
This is another argument I see people bring up for this show, which is super bizarre. And that the corniness and the cheapness of the show can be perfectly explained away because a stormtrooper hit his head in the background. I don't know, man. Like, yeah, that's pretty dumb, but the whole show shouldn't be fucking crap and cheap, terrible because of that, right? Because if we're just going to judge the whole show, it's the same thing in my other video about the guy, oh, there's Ewoks on a speeder bike. No, that's not how it should be judged as, though, right? Am I in a different universe where we just judge things if, oh, you know, if there's corniness, we'll excuse anything that's just retarded. Something that was in the background of Star Wars Episode 4, just because not many people even knew about it until the internet, honestly. But yeah, we were just gonna judge Star Wars as always been crap and corny and cheesy because the stormtrooper hit his head. I mean, come on. That's such a dumb spectrum to start rating things off of.
Top of the set.
Yeah, and then you were talking about the Darth Vader fight with Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Being awkward and looking like a fan film.
Before watching the show, I saw that clip. It like showed up as recommended on YouTube or something, and I legitimately thought it was a fan film. Like that first where he runs away, because I was like, oh, that's a funny punchline. Darth Vader shows up, and he pulls out his lightsaber, and Obi-Wan just runs behind a hill, and it was so funny to me.
The awkward thing.
It's almost like it was fucking crap. It was fucking terrible. Can that be an option for this discussion? Like, it makes no fucking sense why he would do that, and when he does run away, he turns on his lightsaber, and when he's trying to hide, it's just, why would you do that? All of it makes no sense.
Thing is, he runs out behind, it's like, they use the same location.
Yeah, he runs out. It looks like he was running back to
be
in front of Vader, but he wasn't. So that's the cheapness of it. Has like.
Did you picture Vader like peeking around the pile of sand, going, "Hello, I see you."
Yeah.
You just went right over there.
I can still see your feet.
I'm a Sith Lord. You just ran 10 feet over there. I know where you're at.
Yeah,
you know what?
For me, the whole thing is this weird imbalance of things I like and things that are so cheap that they're kind of entertaining, and then stuff that's just sort of boring.
You can bitch about that encounter, but I like it better than the entire Mustafar battle.
Really, he likes it more than the Mustafar battle. I always find that very interesting. I'm gonna take a guess. It's because it's over the top, I suppose. The Mustafar battle. I don't know. It's pretty good choreography for a fight, honestly. Is it pretty ridiculous that they can survive lava right next to it? Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. Was it pretty dumb that Obi-Wan won the fight because Anakin was a fucking retard at the end? Yeah, that's pretty dumb. But I would be curious why he would consider this fight more, because there's a lot of glaring issues with this fight. So I'm curious what his points are.
And Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that backflip porn.
Backflip porn. Like I said, I'm kind of just doing this in the moment, and I'm barely going to edit this, so I kind of want to look at the Mustafar battle, because I really don't remember Star Wars Episode 3 that well. I'll even show it on screen. We can all zoom through it for reference sake. I'm not gonna show the whole thing because, duh, that's stupid.
Then you're my enemy.
How about if I speed it up? Because you guys are gonna be watching this through a tiny TV looking thing, so that's gonna help with the copyright. But I want to speed this up and see if I can find backflip porn and see what he means by that exactly. Because I don't remember this fight at all. I haven't seen a prequel in a fucking while. I see them flipping their lightsabers a lot. That's for sure. Oh, okay. If I remembered right, this fight gets pretty ridiculous near the end, doesn't it? Let me skip towards the end. That's a cool shot. Oh, there's a backflip there. Okay. Yeah, see, like, when they're surviving from lava, that's pretty ridiculous. And then this part where the whole thing collapses, and it's falling over, and it's just like, oh my god. This part's pretty ridiculous. I'll give you that much. But, I don't know, man. At least with this fight, it actually has pretty decent choreography, and there's some weight behind the fight and what it means for... There's a reason why it's called Duel of the Fates, the song that plays at this fight, because it's literally Duel of the Fates. This fight has big meaning for the entire series of Star Wars and stuff. Or at least it did. Now it's just kind of meaningless because of the fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So, we all think that. But again, it's just, I don't know, Rich. Backflip porn didn't seem like a lot of backflips. It just seemed like a lot of flipping their lightsabers, but and that's as far as I can judge it from there. Yet again, I did skip through it, so maybe I did miss some backflip porn. If I remember correctly, they did backflip on one part on the little tiny robot skidding across the lava. So
Yeah.
You have this nice little character moment at the end of that fight in the series, Obi-Wan, where, like, Darth Vader, he's not trying to kill Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's old and out of shape, and Darth Vader can take him easily. He wants to make him suffer.
He does? I thought I'm pretty sure Darth wants to kill Obi-Wan. Wait, I'm sorry, I need to hear that again.
Where, like, Darth Vader, he's not trying to kill Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's old and out of shape, and Darth Vader can take him easily. He wants to make him suffer.
Was this ever brought up? Like, he wants to... Oh, yeah, he threw him in fire, didn't he? Oh, okay. Why would he want to make... What? So he wants to make him suffer. Yet his suffering only just burned his shoulder. What kind of suffering is that? Yet again, I guess he didn't expect to just burn his shoulder. Wait, if he wanted to make him suffer, then why did he turn off the fire after throwing him in the fire? I mean, that's pretty good suffering enough, isn't it? I guess that's why Darth Vader's at "Bring him to me" in his terrible AI voice. I don't know, but he didn't really make him suffer that long. I mean, seriously, Obi-Wan comes out of that fire unscathed. He just has a little burnt shoulder that's never brought up ever again in the entire show. Yet again, how was he able to fight in that hallway scene with a burnt fucking arm? He went in a bath tank, right? What is that? What's called? Bath tank? I don't know what it's called, but he was in that thingy.
He wants to make him suffer. I love that he just, like, uses the Force to just, like, spread all of this flammable material on the ground.
For some reason, luckily, there's this flammable material in the middle of the fucking quarry that they just happen to go to. Not Darth Vader didn't plan this. Obi-Wan planned this. So he basically set all this up for Darth. That was actually kind of nice of him if you think about it. Very bizarre scene.
And then he's just gonna literally rub Obi-Wan's face in it while he's on fire.
Doesn't really... Yeah, his face definitely is in fire, but it doesn't do jack shit to him. And then he turns the fire off, and then some lady turns the fire back on, and then Darth just lets them pass by. It's like, whatever. We're not gonna mention that, are we? That whole part's fucking stupid.
That's what Darth Vader wants to do, and it's perfect.
Oh no, no, it's bad. It's so bad. It's so bad for everything I just mentioned and even more. I tell you that it assassinates Darth Vader's character for being a fucking retard. How about that one? How about the fact that somehow the girl was able to get there through a tunnel that only went through one way, but then run into the Darth bitch chick. I keep forgetting her name. How come she didn't run into her? How did she know where Darth was at? Or Obi-Wan was at? And then how does she know to shoot the thingy, the fire, and Darth wasn't just gonna put it out like he did the first time? How come the stormtroopers are fucking idiots and don't know exactly where the hell the laser shot came from? Why did no one start shooting at the robot when Obi-Wan was being picked up from the robot? Why did the stormtroopers and Darth just look at it? Why is that whole scene just a complete mess? It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah. See, I like that moment, the actual fight. Again,
that doesn't matter because you get the
awkward.
good character moments.
Good character what was the good character moment? The one where he was like, I'm gonna throw you in fire? Is that the good character moment you're talking about? Because that's not a good character moment at all. It just makes Darth Vader look like a fucking idiot, especially with all the other shit. Like him just letting him go away, even though if he wanted to torture him and suffer him, why didn't he just try stopping him to torture and suffer him? That's another thing that completely breaks your logic that he wants to make him suffer. I don't know why he didn't go for him again. Even your own logic the movie doesn't go by it. You're writing for the writers now.
That's the best thing that the show has going for it, is the extreme lowered expectations.
This has come, I mean, this and The Mandalorian Season 1 has come the closest to capturing that magic. I am fine with that entire encounter.
I do like that moment in the second episode.
Wait, sorry, I kind of blew past this point.
That's the best thing that the show has going for it, is the extreme lowered expectations.
Again, having lowered expectations should mean we should let dog shit be dog shit. I mean, come on. This show is fucking horrible. I'm someone that doesn't even like Star Wars. That's why I'm lazily putting this video together right now as we speak. It's not good. It's fucking terrible.
This has come, I mean, this and The Mandalorian Season 1 has come the closest to capturing that magic.
Oh yeah, they like Mandalorian Season 1, don't they? A lot of people like Mandalorian Season 1. I'm not entirely sure why, if I'm honest with you. There's a lot of problems with that show, and the show is pretty fucking terrible. I don't want to go in a tangent on why Mandalorian is bad, because that's not really the point of this video. Don't want to ramble for like 5 minutes on a point that doesn't really matter. But I'm just going to leave it at kind of shocked that a lot of people are letting Mandalorian Season 1 slide for how shitty the writing is.
I am fine with that entire encounter.
I do like that moment in the second episode when Reva, I think Reva is the one that tells him that Anakin's still alive. And it's like, oh yeah, he wouldn't even know that.
Yeah, he would. He would know that. Because in Revenge of the Sith, someone had to point this out to me. There's a scene where Obi-Wan is observing, looking at his, some kind of hologram in the place, and he sees Obi-Wan murdering kids, and sees Palpy talking to him, and Palpy's like, you will now be Darth Vader. He's like, I can't watch any of this. I could probably try finding the scene on YouTube, but it's a very specific scene that I don't know if it exists. You know, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. I don't think I have to go looking for it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then sorry. I'm not giving you visual references in this video. Like I said, I'm making this in an extremely lazy way. I don't know. I just don't feel like making a long video edited talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi anymore. I want to move on to other subjects that are non-Star Wars related, because Star Wars is just, ugh. It's like talking about muck, you know? Not the game muck, but like actual muck. It's like talking about that. It's just like, it's so crap. I don't know how to explain it.
It's like, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I wish I would have, like, I don't know, dwelled on it a little bit more. It feels like it introduces these things, these kind of character beats, but then just sort of keeps moving along and doesn't focus on them quite as much as it should.
I agree with Rich. I was happy with the encounter.
What? I'm sorry, because Jay was talking about one thing, right?
I'm with that entire encounter.
I do like that moment in the second episode when Reva, I think Reva is the one that tells him that Anakin's still alive. And it's like, oh yeah, he wouldn't even know that. It's like, that's kind of neat.
You said that part.
I wish I would have, I don't know.
Yeah, he said that part, and he said, I wish they worked
Dwelled
on
on
it.
it a little bit more.
Yeah, dwelled on
It feels
it.
like it introduces these things, these kind of character beats, but then just sort of keeps moving along and doesn't focus on them quite as much as it should.
I agree with Rich. I was happy with the encounter.
That had nothing to do with this point. What? What was that about, Mike? Jay was actually talking about a part where, like, they didn't delve into the part of him finding out he was Darth Vader, even though Obi-Wan shouldn't have known. That's the first thing I would have said to him, right? And then he just goes back, oh, I like that fight. It's like they're having two different conversations. What the fuck? Okay.
What is he supposed to do? like,
What is he supposed... Wait, what?
I agree with Rich. I was happy with the encounter. What is he supposed to do?
What is he supposed to do? I don't know. There's a million different things I could have thought of if I was the writer. It was like, first, maybe confront him. Like, yo, what's up? Or if you're going to make him run, okay, fine, let's make him run. If we're going to make him run, how about he keeps running and doesn't stop? And how about he doesn't turn on his lightsaber into pitch blackness? That would help a lot, actually. How about we try that? And yeah, I guess.
Like really?
I would have been happy if you didn't meet him at all until like maybe the end of the season or something.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I mean, it completely undermines the entire Revenge of the Sith, doesn't it? Kind of has that feeling. Like, kind of just undermines what happens in the ending of that movie.
Yeah, I know. It's a like, what do you do kind of.
What do you do? I mean, don't do it. That would be a good option. Or actually try to write a decent story about Obi-Wan Kenobi having to deal with... You know what? I just thought of the perfect idea right now. Just out of the blue. Think about this, right? So everyone knows the movie... Not the movie. Everyone knows the TV show Courage the Cowardly Dog, right? And Courage the Cowardly Dog is about just this dog protecting these two people in an abandoned wasteland around them. Just think about this for a moment, okay? Obi-Wan Kenobi is supposed to protect Luke, right? So how about you make it about random stragglers coming along on Tatooine that know about Luke or trying to kill Luke or try to find him, and Obi-Wan has to track them down and try to find them before he finds the kid or something, you know? And you find these interesting characters. There could be one character that's like, I need it for my family. They're all poor and they're fucking shit, and I need this money. I really need this money, man. I need to pay for my electric bill, my Wi-Fi, and all this stuff, you know? And it's like Obi-Wan has to make a tough choice because this guy is very prominent on killing Luke. It's either Obi-Wan kills him or he kills Obi-Wan and kills Luke for it. You know, you have interesting conflicts like that. They're all taken on Tatooine because that's where Obi-Wan should be. He should be protecting Luke no matter the cost. So just random people start barging in on Tatooine. You know, don't make it too obvious, but things like that. That was just me thinking out of my ass, and that honestly sounds like a really interesting idea if you really flesh it out. You don't have to make a whole fucking story about, how about we make it where Obi-Wan finds Leia and she keeps getting taken like 4 times out of the entire fucking season, and then we have like 3 fight scenes with Darth and Obi-Wan, or 2 fight scenes. Is it 2 fight scenes? I think it's 2 fight scenes. 2 fight scenes with Darth and Obi-Wan, and they're just pretty terrible. I don't know, man. You could have done a lot with this idea, honestly. If you just really sat down and talked to some writers that are very creative, you could have made something pretty cool. But
Well, that's like I
mentality.
say, like a fan film. You gotta have.
What do you do with?
the idea I just spat right now out of nowhere, it sounds 100 times better than this garbage. Maybe I'm being biased against my own idea, but come on, tell me that doesn't sound like a pretty decent idea for a fucking TV show based on Obi-Wan. Just him doing these little investigations, and it's more of a detective show, trying to find out who the fuck is trying to kill Luke now and type of thing, you know? Or trying to kill Uncle Owen, or Uncle Owen got into some deep shit and accidentally fucked up something, or I don't know. Could have done something with it. It didn't have to be fucking garbage and just slop thrown at me.
With an Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, right?
The option was, I didn't even think of like the Leia connection, which I think is probably the way to do it.
Is it though? Not really. Obi-Wan's job is to protect Luke no matter the cost. That was his whole objective, being on Tatooine and Luke. And she goes with Jimmy Smits. Jimmy Smits should be protecting Leia, not Obi-Wan.
Because obviously Leia knows who the fuck Obi-Wan Kenobi is.
Vaguely, sure, I guess.
Do you remember the scenes? Do you remember the scenes? Do you remember when Obi-Wan hit her under his trench coat?
That
Yes. Point out how shit this scene is. Because it's terrible. You guys are reaching somewhere right now. You're pointing out an actual flaw with the fucking show that's really bad. Keep this momentum up and your video would have been better. But you guys just point out two weird things and just say, yeah, the rest is good. It's super bizarre.
was
It was
ridiculous.
a little silly looking, huh? A little silly.
Again, that's on another show. That's a kiddie show.
No, that's this show. Not even a kiddie show would be this fucking crap. Let's be honest here. Go watch SpongeBob. That show's a masterpiece of writing. They don't have this kind of stupid crap. There's a chase scene. I'm gonna compare a chase scene to Obi-Wan and SpongeBob. Watch me right now, okay? I'm gonna show you a 10 times better chase scene in a kid's movie that puts this to shame.
And if you don't abide by the rules,
The fuck? That was dumb.
Texas are dumb?
No, you can't say
10 times better chase scene than anything in Obi-Wan Kenobi right here.
nothing about Texas.
kidnap,
Wait, is this a fucking... Oh my god. I thought that was the actual fucking scene, but I guess not. Is this the actual scene? Here we go. Okay.
No, wait. Sandy! Can't say anything about Texas. Look, Patrick. Ugly on it, ain't. You'll have to catch us first.
My god, I'm gonna have to edit all this out. I'm just trying to find the actual chase scene. Ten times better chase scene. Don't even deny it. Okay. I mean, look at the creativity of this chase scene. Is it ridiculous? Oh yeah, it's fucking absurd. I mean shit, Patrick blew up somehow, she got a lasso, how the fuck did that happen? But it has charm, it has charisma, it's actually a chase scene. Things are happening, it involves the plot. What's this chase scene? Oh, this guy doesn't know how to fucking run properly. Like, come on. You should expect better from this show, from Star Wars at least. Like, shit, man. When you got a scene like this where the guy's running like a fucking retard, and SpongeBob shows someone actually running towards somebody and chasing them down, it's just, come on.
I'm okay with that, but once again,
In the forest?
Yeah.
That was really bad. That was really badly done.
Yeah, that was not
But-
a good
but it's-
setup for the series.
lowered
I
expectations.
know, and that's what's so great about it. It's so cheap. I'm happy with it.
I mean, that's great you're happy with it, but it's still really bad.
You know what I mean? In a
It's
weird
it's
way.
this
It's
freeing
hard-
thing where it's like,
It's freeing.
it's freeing because I don't care.
I don't care about Star Wars, but I can still acknowledge it's fucking dog shit. I don't know, man. Like, I really don't like or care about Star Wars. There's one movie out of all 6 or 9 of them, or how many shows and crap is out there. There's only one of them I actually thought, oh, this is pretty decent. But I still don't really give a shit about Star Wars. If someone told me, yo, you want to watch Star Wars? I'd say, fuck that. I ain't watching that crap. Now, if someone said, yo, you want to watch Indiana Jones? I would be up for that shit, because I love it watching that. I'm gonna say it, Indiana Jones is better than Star Wars. At least with Indiana Jones, there's more hits than misses. Yet again, yeah, Indiana Jones 5 is gonna be a thing, huh? That's gonna be terrible. Oh, that's gonna be bad. Oh boy.
So it's like, if it's kind of funny, that's fine. Because I'm not like, I'm not like angry that it's not. You know, I think some people maybe would want this to be like the quality of a feature film.
I don't know. Not even the quality of feature films are pretty good. Have you seen Thor: Love and Thunder? Holy shit, the quality of that film is terrible. And they do have the money for a feature film. I mean, 25 mil per episode. They got the money to do it, but they just don't.
And it looks like a cheap, shitty TV show. It's like, that's fine.
I don't know, maybe I'm someone, I have less of a problem with how cheap it looks and more of a problem with the writing and certain actions that happen in the show.
Fine.
It
At this
looks-
point, it doesn't matter anymore.
It looks like an expensive TV show that cut corners wherever it could
Well-
to try and be a motion picture. They spent all their money on the obelisk. They cheaped out on the laser gate across the road.
Oh, yeah.
See, like, they point out this scene. And yeah, this scene is fucking terrible. And it's weird. There's more of these issues in the film.
that Obi-Wan and Leia didn't, because they didn't just walk around it. They just walk. It's like,
You had to disable it. Pressing the buttons.
like Obi-Wan could have just, he could have just like stepped over it if he really wanted to.
I forgot about all that.
That was like a whole episode.
Their little adventure and the truck driver.
The like pussy face monster guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
The very friendly pro-fascist government truck driving mole.
Right, yeah. And they get in the back and they're riding along with stormtroopers. I loved it.
Oh no. Did you forget what happened in that scene? Where Obi-Wan became a fucking retard? He was already a retard before that, but we're just gonna ignore the fucking fact that he just blatantly said Leia's name on a truck filled with stormtroopers that are looking for a kid and a Jedi while he's wearing his Jedi robes. We're just gonna ignore that fact, or the fact that Obi-Wan even got on the truck in the first place when he saw the Imperial flag. He just still got on it for some reason. He didn't question it at all. Like, whatever. What about the fact when Obi-Wan and Leia were having a conversation pretty loudly while on the truck ride, and Moleface doesn't hear anything about it? What about that? Are you gonna mention any of that shit? You mentioned the fence, right? And yeah, that's terrible. But you don't mention the other shit that happens before the fence. Or how about the shit that happens after, where Obi-Wan was able to take out 5 stormtroopers, and then 3 seconds later he can't take on 3 stormtroopers? What about that part? Not gonna mention that, I suppose. It's so bad.
It's very like kind of allusions to World War II.
Yes, yes. Well, that's
They've
what
got the
Star Wars
Yeah, they got the
is.
flag on the back of the truck.
Right. The show's sort of like, it feels like a guilty pleasure. Like, it's not good, but I love it.
And that's fine. If you acknowledge it's like a guilty pleasure for you, but you love it, that's all power to you. That's with me when it comes to Batman and Robin, Twisted Pair, Fateful Findings, The Room. There's some others out there I can't think of right now. I'm trying to think of some others that are just like guilty pleasures of mine. I don't know. I guess I have really high expectations when it comes to guilty pleasures too. I mean, shit, man. Look at the guilty pleasures of mine. Fucking mostly Neil Breen films and Batman and Robin. Like, shit. But yeah, it's fine if this is your guilty pleasure, but at least he's just acknowledging that it's pretty dog shit.
It's not guilty. It's just a pleasure, but it's not super amazing.
No, it's pretty guilty pleasure. I don't know why, but Rich throughout this whole thing is super defensive about the show. Not in, like, he doesn't seem like he is. He seems pretty casual about it, but think about it. Like, Mike just called this a guilty pleasure and pretty bad, and he's already defending. He's like, it's not guilty, you know? It's just pleasure. It's like, well, I don't know, man. It's still pretty fucking bad.
It's super okay,
No, it's worse than super okay. It's pretty bad.
but it's like super okay, not just okay.
I know, it kind of fucks with your head a little. Where it's like,
Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's super okay.
That was my any of the action is so slow and awkward. That's my least favorite stuff on the show.
no, I prefer slow and awkward action.
I find it so fascinating that they keep going back to these things of, yeah, slow and awkward action is the least favorite thing. Slow and awkward action is the best thing that I liked about it. I get it. Action scenes and how they're set up is an important factor to movies, but when your whole criticism or praise of the show is just at how cheap looking it is, maybe you're not looking at the actual writing at that point anymore, are you?
I don't know.
Rather than the over-the-top shit.
Yeah.
I prefer this stuff, like, especially in that second episode, they're like going around like the alleys and it's very kind of like grimy. Like, I like that stuff. Like, I wouldn't need any action.
So you should like Blade Runner if that's the case, right, Jay? I know you don't like Blade Runner, and you're basically explaining that right now, where it's a moody atmosphere with cyberpunk lights going on, and I mean, look at this, like grimy looking area. I mean, yeah, it's a cool looking shot and how it looks and stuff, but too bad we don't know anything about it. the world building of the show is fucked on to belief.
Conversation.
Is he gonna get in love making scenes with the new lady? Are we gonna break his celibacy?
I think she's done. I was looking at IMDb, and she's only listed as being in 2 episodes. So I think she's out of the show now, that character.
Oh.
Yeah. They could only afford her for a couple days of the shoot. I don't know. She's one of the best performances on the show.
She's good. That scene when she has to well, there's a couple scenes when she's like, oh shit, I gotta
Is there a problem?
Up my spy game here. When that the snotty security guard's like.
Snotty security guard? He wasn't really snotty. He was just kind of doing his job and being intimidating because that's his fucking job. I don't know. I wouldn't really call that snotty. It's like going to an airport with a fake passport and you're trying to enter America. It's like, you're not allowed here. That's kind of how he's talking to her. Like, she's not allowed here at all. And that's not being snotty. That's just doing your job.
And she's like, okay, mister, I'm a, and she's supposed to pull rank. And
even though that would work, the guy should have just told her to go fuck yourself. Or checked in with someone that works the building. Both of those could have been plausible solutions to his problem. But instead he gets belittled for no reason.
But then that guy says, come on into my office. You don't belong at the station. Mm-hmm. And it's like this big room. And then she's like, she goes into a room and then they cut this body and he's like hidden behind a box in clear view of everyone else. And she's like, I had a problem, but I took care of it. And then there's people just working and people coming and going. But she beat him up and then dragged him back into the room that she's currently in with other people, or beat him up in the room and the people sitting at the consoles 10 feet away didn't hear anything. It was really weird. It was really weird.
Yeah, it is pretty weird. You're not gonna name the other scenes that are also very weird? Like, the one that pops in my mind is when stormtroopers are walking by the camera and he goes up into a vent. Like, goddamn, that was pretty bad. There's so much bad shit. How about the random puddle room? You gonna mention that? That's pretty weird. Why is there a random puddle room in this giant impenetrable building? Makes no fucking sense.
She learned that trick when she was 10.
They do kind of, in A New Hope, the way she records her little message on R2-D2.
Yes.
And she's like, Obi-Wan, years ago, you helped my father in the bubble.
Served my father in the Clone Wars.
She talks about it as if she does not know him, has never met him, but now, I guess they went on a little adventure together.
I've seen...
But again, none of it matters anymore.
On the internet.
Nothing matters anymore. Then why are you pointing it out if it doesn't matter anymore? You know? Just doesn't make sense to do that, if that's the case.
I've seen...
I mean, yeah, it's all fucking garbage, but why are you even pointing it out if it doesn't matter? Clearly it does matter, because it kind of breaks the fucking movie, don't you think? But hey.
I've seen Star Wars nerds scramble to make sense of that.
Okay.
And I've seen some conversations where they say Princess Leia in 1977 intentionally made it seem like she didn't know who Obi-Wan was.
Yeah, even that doesn't make any sense, because even the show agrees with this theory because it confirmed it, and it's even dumber in the show. How come she would even mention her father if that was the case? She shouldn't have even mentioned him if she didn't want to know that she was in connections with Obi-Wan. Even if Obi-Wan is connected to the father, you're still the daughter of the father that knows Obi-Wan. So you're still kind of putting yourself in danger in that situation, as Obi-Wan Kenobi would say. It makes no fucking sense. Why would that be the solution to that problem? Why?
Or didn't have a close affiliation with him in case the message happened to get intercepted by the Empire.
Years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, why would he even mention, yeah, you served my father, still connecting you to Obi-Wan? Doesn't make a big difference at all.
Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire.
I'll have to rewatch this. Does she actually phrase it like she has no idea who the fuck he is?
No, she goes,
not that she doesn't know who he is, but that she's never met him or anything.
Obi-Wan.
She's not like, Obi-Wan, when I was a little kid, you helped me on my adventure.
I believe she says, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
We need your help, blah, blah, blah.
Talking to him in a way where you would think that she's never met him
Like you're
before.
calling your great uncle that you've never met.
Yeah.
Your great uncle knew your father years ago.
I'll have to rewatch this. This doesn't sound like enough of a discrepancy to get bent out of shape over.
Well,
No one's getting bent out of shape over it. The problem is it still breaks the universe and breaks the movies in significant ways, because now that scene, you watch A New Hope and it's like, well, it doesn't matter. Apparently you did this to be sick. Like, you wouldn't want people to know, but it still makes no fucking sense because you just named out your father. Also, aren't you the same guy that complained in Star Trek Picard that for some reason they were able to go from one planet to another in 3 seconds to other things? Like, shit. I don't know enough about Star Trek, but he talks about how I think Picard wouldn't do a specific thing in The Next Generation, but then does it in Picard, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, you point out character inconsistencies all the time and plot inconsistencies with Star Trek, but when it comes to Star Wars, you guys just don't notice the problems at all, and it's just very bizarre to see. Normally you guys are really good at this type of thing, but it's just, I don't know, when it comes to Star Wars, most people just shut their brains off and don't pay attention, I guess.
no, it doesn't matter.
It's not. I don't care.
But it's one of those things where it's like, this show existing is just like, now it's a thing that is introduced that doesn't quite line up with the original movies. But again, this is cheap junk and it doesn't matter anymore.
I mean, that's all movies these days, but there was a time that it did have a point. Now, whenever you point out the problems with the movies and shows and stuff, it's just more like, yep, yeah, it's just adding on to the pile, basically. Remember when franchises used to be pretty interesting? Oh, man. Speaking of franchises, Predator is our franchise that has fallen pretty hard. Predator 1 was great. And then I saw the trailer for Prey recently. Oh boy, that looks like crap. Oh boy, can't wait for that shit. And then what's next? Another fucking alien movie, maybe? And that's gonna be fucking crap. Oh boy. Man, I can't wait for the next Indiana Jones film. That's gonna be fucking terrible. That's the one I'm more... I shouldn't say skeptical, because I already know it's gonna be fucking dog shit, right? I should say that's the one I'm more interested into seeing how bad it can be, right? Because Indiana Jones has already been ruined. The fourth one made sure of that. It's just gonna be really weird to see an 80-year-old man pretending to be Indiana Jones again. It was already pretty hard to believe in the fourth one, but now it's 11 years or so later, so it's gonna be even worse. It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
This is what Star Wars is now.
Can't you say that about the entire franchise, though? I mean, there's no
I mean, it used to have a point. Everything has a point. Used to have one.
point for any of it. They told the story and it just can't die. And...
Yeah. I'm sure there are people who think this Obi-Wan show is the worst thing ever, and people who think it's the greatest thing ever, and whatever. We'll just discuss it.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Discussing it is part of having fun with films and watching them and stuff, so you can discuss it with other people and see their perspectives on it. That's why I like movies and games. You get to play them or watch them, and then you get to talk to other people and come to a very interesting conclusion on certain things. Again, like I was watching Indiana Jones with a few people, and I noticed more flaws with Temple of Doom than I ever did watching the movie with them, because I love Temple of Doom, but there's some flaws with that movie. Same with the first one. It's amazing how many flaws are in the first movie. One day, I might make a video talking about Indiana Jones in the franchise, because it's a really interesting franchise to talk about. Anyways.
It has its flaws, and it has some great things about it. To me, it's a guilty pleasure. It's fun, and it's bad at the same time. It's cheesy. I think George Lucas would be proud of it.
I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not overjoyed, but please.
Because I feel like...
What a very weird way to praise a show. Not overjoyed, but I'm pleased. I mean, what takes you to be pleased for a show in that case? Because I don't really know what it is besides, oh, it looks cheap. You know, that's the only thing of argumentation I can get from them, is that it looks cheap, so that means it's pretty good now. I'm hoping I'm missing some context here, even though I made sure I didn't cut out any context, but I hope it's more than that.
Not a whole lot has happened.
That's my only real big complaint. I love the fact that the show looks cheap. I love the fact that I feel bad for watching it. Like I'm doing something wrong, and I feel bad for enjoying it. I feel bad.
I don't know why you would feel bad for it. It's fine to if you enjoy it, but like I said, I enjoy Batman and Robin, and that film is universally hated and it's really bad. But I enjoy it, so I don't know why you would feel bad for it. But hey, you know.
Who's in the gutter now?
I think the cheapness does work to the show's benefit. I think when you talk about like this pacing issues you have with streaming shows, I think this type of format is relatively new with streaming services, and we don't need ads. I think quality is going to go up over time.
That's interesting. So he thinks the cheapness works in the show's benefit, which is, I don't know, man. Does it though? I've seen cheaper movies and shows that do way better. Severance, again, is a very cheap show, has a smaller budget than Obi-Wan Kenobi show did for sure, and that came out way better. So I don't know.
Yeah, I like the restraint where he's out of touch with being a Jedi. He's trying to move like a little tiny thing. He doesn't take his lightsaber out for 3 episodes. He doesn't do the Force mind trick on the stormtroopers on the bus. You know.
I mean, there's a lot more dumber shit on that truck. Him not using the Force is definitely one of the problems with the show. I mean, for someone that said that they're gonna dedicate their entire life protecting some kid, I don't know why he would be divorced from the Force for that. You would think he would want to be ready for any adventure that pops in his way to protect the kid, but, you know, whatever.
You know? Like, he was in the...
He probably knows he can't yet.
Those aren't the droids you're looking for.
He's lost his mojo. That's true. When it comes to Star Wars stuff, you're the most cynical and removed from it. So.
Well, here's the thing: the things I tend to like with Star Wars, all the Star Wars fans hate.
That's true.
And when Star Wars fans hate something,
that's like everybody hated what they did with Luke in The Last Jedi, even though it was the most interesting thing in the movie.
See what I mean? In my last video, I said that for some reason, people that like The Last Jedi or like aspects of it always bring up Luke and his character. I'm not going to go over what exactly I said in my video, because it's just retreading grounds in that case, but I just find it super fascinating that everyone goes back to this point of Luke being assassinated or not assassinated, even though we can look at the proof in all the films and see that he was assassinated. Movies prove that. Back to Rich's point about things that he likes Star Wars fans tend to hate. I don't think it's just that, right? Because it seems like they're in agreement. Well, let's finish what they say.
Everybody was upset about that, so... I think there's complaints about this show, too, kind of doing to Obi-Wan what they did to Luke in The Last Jedi, where he's like a loser. It's like, well, you gotta have somewhere for him to go.
So what you make him go is just make him turn into a fucking loser? That's where you make him go? There's nothing else you can do? It's either be divorced from the Force or that nothing else? Okay.
The Jedi
He has to grow throughout the season.
All have creepy cult personalities.
Yeah.
And you need to do something to make them interesting. And having them fallen, that's interesting. And that's why Rian Johnson stole my idea and didn't give me any credit for it.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure everyone would be in agreement Luke losing touch with the Force is an interesting idea. It's the execution of it that's bad. You understand that, right? Like, that's why it's bad. And it can go into it. It's basically because fucking Luke tried murdering his own nephew, even though he wasn't willing to murder his father that was 10 times more evil and was actually evil and was murdering people. And he saw goodness in him, but he had one flashback of his nephew being dark, and he's like, yep, time to murder him. You really don't see the contradiction there. Like, why would he make that decision? It's so bad.
But it's also what all the Star Wars fans seem to hate.
Yeah.
So I get the bitching about it.
No, it's the execution what people hate, right? Like, I can watch this and be like, wow, this is terrible. Interesting idea, but terrible. Do people not know the difference between having an interesting idea and the execution being bad? Like, those are two different things, right? We can understand that, right? Please tell me we can. Usually they can, but I guess they're just blinded by this show for some reason. I don't know why.
The last episode where things happen.
Oh, we're getting into a little bit of the episode 2 they did. Part 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Wow, at least they are able to follow up on their part 2s of shows. shit, man. That's another thing. I shouldn't have put this at the beginning, but I'm not making a part 2 to Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm done after this video.
The last episode where things happened.
The last episode was like the last act of a feature film, and then all the pieces all fell into place where I was like, oh, boom, 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 boom.
You can visualize all the beats as a movie as opposed to
yes.
stretched out.
And you had said, I don't know if you were just talking out of your ass or you're theorizing that they had started with an idea for a movie and then said, oh, fuck movies, let's make a TV show for our streaming service.
That was my theorizing.
I don't know if this officially started as a movie, and then they said, we'll make it a series instead. That may have happened. But by the time you get to the 6th episode, I was actually enjoying it more than I had the previous episodes, because I was like, hey, it actually feels like it's going somewhere.
Does it? Does it feel like it's going somewhere? I don't know if that's actually a good praise, though. When the final episode of your show feels like it's going somewhere and nothing else did, I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe you would want the whole show to go somewhere. It's kind of the same problem with Miss Marvel, honestly. The first 3 episodes feel like it goes nowhere. It's so dreadful.
I got some nitpicks. It's like they have their 3rd act and they do it twice. It's like our rebels are cornered. The Imperials have them pinned down, and Obi-Wan gives himself up so everyone else can escape. And then in the very next episode, they're on the ship, and oh no, our heroes are pinned down by the Empire that's right on their ass. The Empire's right there, and so Obi-Wan gives himself up so everyone can escape. Like, why did you do that twice?
He calls this a nitpick, but I don't know. It's kind of funny because I used this example in my other video showing some of the plot contrivances this fucking movie has, or show has. And it's like, that's not a nitpick. That just makes Darth look like a fucking idiot, if anything. I mean, it's honestly really bad.
Cut out all that shit they did on the spaceship.
I mean, come on, can we really... I'm paused again because this scene is really dumb, okay? Just the whole idea of him just like, yeah, we're gonna chase down the bigger ship. We're not gonna chase down the bigger ship with our big ship, right? And then I'm gonna take my little ship to go follow him. Why would you do that? Why not just take the little ship at the beginning and let the Star Destroyer keep following the rebels? Why didn't you do that? It's so dumb.
All that shit they did on the spaceship, and then just have the whole thing take place on the planet. And Obi-Wan's confrontation with Vader is on the planet. And then you don't need to do that really awkward thing where he takes off in an escape pod, and Darth Vader looks like an idiot like Kylo Ren did in The Last Jedi, where he's like, no, we're going to give up on catching the people we need to catch so I can settle my personal vendetta. And it makes Darth Vader look like an idiot.
Yeah, finally someone makes a valid criticism of what happens to Darth Vader in this show. Makes him look like a fucking idiot. There's more of that, like in episode 5 when he didn't see a second ship and somehow the second ship appeared out of nowhere. That was so dumb.
And they did the same thing twice, 2 episodes in a row. Why?
I liked a lot more than the previous episodes, partially because it felt like it was actually starting to go somewhere. But one thing we brought up was Darth Vader and how he's not scary anymore. He's not intimidating, and he feels like a guy that you would see walking around Disney World or whatever. These last 2 episodes were pretty decent Vader.
I find it funny you say these were pretty decent Vader, yet then we just had a part where Rich was talking about how he looks like a fucking idiot. But okay, sure, I suppose.
These last 2 episodes were pretty decent Vader.
That was a pretty exciting fight scene.
The last episode fight, but even before that, when he's fighting Reva, and he's putting in like no effort because he doesn't have.
You know what? I'm gonna give one good compliment of the show. The Reva Vader thing was kinda neat. If you take the context out of it and you just watch the scene on its own, it's okay. It's fine. Sort of cool. But that's about it.
Have to, right. And he's just kind of like standing there. He's like, "You're not going to do anything to me." It's like, okay, that feels kind of like Vader. Not just because they've built up Obi-Wan throughout the season, but also the way it's executed. How the whole thing is pretty much lit with just their lightsabers.
I don't know, man. I'd rather have daylight fights than just nighttime fights. Is this something that you guys were complaining about in the prequels? I think it was, yeah, in the Mr. Plinkett reviews, you guys complained about how one of the fights with Dooku and Anakin were in darkness, and you're just like, wow, this fucking dog shit. Why can't it be in daylight or something? I mean, now it seems like you guys are okay with it, I suppose.
Yes and no. I mean, just watching it, it was a good fight. It highlights something that just annoys the fuck out of me. The inconsistent way like the Force is portrayed and what they can do and when they can do it.
That's always been the case.
If they can do the kind of shit they do in that fight where they're just throwing mountains everywhere and Darth Vader is just throwing Reva around with the Force, why do they even bother with the fucking lightsaber other than they have to? Because the lightsaber is the only reason people like Star Wars in the first fucking place.
Because it was introduced in a cheap sci-fi movie from the 70s.
That's a very weird criticism. I thought he would point out more of the issues with that scene, but he just points out that, oh, they're using lightsabers. Oh, but it's because it's a cheap movie that in the 70s with lightsabers. I don't think anyone that watched the original trilogy only liked it because of lightsabers. There has to be more than that, right? Like, now it seems like that with the current audience of the fucking shows and movies, but I don't know if it was like that all the time. And from that, we're done. Holy shit. That's all I actually grabbed from their second part, because again, their second part was a lot of meandering and nothing was really said, not a lot of arguments to work with. They pointed out more flaws with the show in the second part than they did in the first part, which I guess is a step in the right direction, but they still said some really stupid shit. But holy fuck. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of video. It's normally a little different than what I do. This isn't going to be normal either. I'm not going to make these all the time. These are mostly going to be videos that I just really don't want to put a lot of effort in. They're quick and easy to make. Relatively quick and easy. And it's going to be for videos that I just want to talk about, but don't want to put a lot of effort into editing them. Anyways, fuck off. I'm done. I'm never talking about Star Wars again. This is the last time.